key thing is, and this is fascinating, is the brain does not know the difference between what's actually happening to you and what you're visualizing. Today, I wanted to give you another tool that I use that's amazing for regulating your nervous system, elevating your mood. It's an exercise all based around kind of brain retraining, brain rewiring. Some of you might be familiar. You might have already been on kind of some courses. There's a lot of stuff out there. And it all kind of based on the preface that as human beings, the majority of the time, we are acting in a very kind of unconscious way. We are being controlled by our limbic part of our brain, and that's kind of the reptilian part of the brain. Subconscious is another term that you can use. Over time, we develop patterns as human beings, and these patterns kind of get ingrained into our brains. And that's typically what happens when you're suffering from a chronic illness, as a lot of you guys are. You kind of develop that same mindset every morning, every day. And this is where you kind of get into that loop. And you think it's yourself acting, but all it is, it's kind of just a pattern that you've developed over time. It's almost like a computer. If you keep running the same program, right, the computer's going to keep running that same program day in, day out, day in, day out. And what we want to do is interrupt. Everything that I'm trying to teach you guys is about interrupting that pattern. If you start to understand the brain and the way the brain works, you can start to make some big changes. So this is one fantastic exercise that I put together, and it was kind of through a combination of different courses that I did, books that I read, and I kind of made it my own. Imagine if you're going skiing, okay, and you're skiing down the same part of the slope day in, day out, right? Those grooves get etched into the ski slope, and over time they become a pattern. So what we want to try and do is get you skiing down a different route, okay, so that route gets etched out and forgotten about. So there's a very simple kind of procedure that I've developed, and I use it day in, day out. I don't have a set amount of time of when I use it. I kind of just drop it into my day whenever I feel like I need that kind of mood elevation, or where I feel like, you know, the negative thoughts are kind of starting to rumble in my brain, okay? And the first part of it is all about catching those thoughts. There's a 3-step process. The first one is to catch. Okay, and this could be thoughts about your symptoms, negative thoughts, feelings of negative worth, things are not going to get better. You start having those thoughts appear in your brain, or it could be your symptoms as well, starting to flare, and you don't know what to do, and you feel hopeless. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is recognize that that's happening. Just the fact that you're recognizing that that's happening kind of allows you to distance yourself from it a little bit. And then what you want to do is you want to interrupt that pattern. And the way you can do this is in your mind, or even out loud, right? Just say the word stop, or anything that you feel like interrupts that signal, you know, whatever. That's one good one that I use. It's like, yeah, whatever. You know, it's your mind talking to you. It's not you. It's just the patterns that have developed over time. They're going to start chatting to you. And what you want to firstly do is interrupt that. So usually what I do is, yeah, whatever. So once you've done that, once you've interrupted the pattern, okay, then you want to kind of move into the body. Okay, and this is very important because, you know, as I mentioned before, a lot of us live in our brains, and it's because we're not living in our body. That's why a lot of these patterns develop over time. Okay, so once you've caught that thought, you've interrupted it, then you want to move on to the second stage, which I call breathe. Okay, then you want to just take a couple of long, deep breaths, okay, into your heart. Usually what I do is I like to exhale longer than I'm inhaling. So I'll inhale for 4 and exhale for 7. Also what you can do is you can picture that energy flowing from your head all the way down your body, through your legs, into the ground, and rooting into the earth, okay? So what this does, it grounds you in the moment. You can do as many breaths as you want just to kind of calm yourself down. And now the third part is where we're gonna start creating a new pattern. You want to create a new part of the ski slope that you're sliding down, okay? And this is where I want you guys to visualize. So you can do this lying down, you can do this standing up, whatever feels comfortable, okay? And this is where I want you to visualize yourself either in the past, could be a memory, or either in the future, And it's all about visualizing yourself doing something that you love and visualizing the best part of yourself, right? What I like to do, just to give you an example, okay, so what I do is I'll tend to visualize what I'm going to be doing later that day, okay? Usually I'll be going for a swim, etc. And what I like to do is visualize myself on the beach, feeling absolutely amazing, feeling the sea in front of me, all that kind of beautiful energy, nature, feeling the sand underneath my feet, and just feeling that kind of breeze from the sea and the smell. The more descriptive you can get, the better, right? The key thing is, and this is fascinating, okay, is the brain does not know the difference between what's actually happening to you and what you're visualizing. Okay, so remember that point, okay? The brain does not know the difference. The limbic brain, the reptilian part of your brain, does not know the difference. So if you give it a picture in your head and you can be as descriptive as possible, your brain will actually think that you're actually experiencing that. It'll actually think that actually I am at the sea, I'm going for a swim, I'm feeling great. So what you want to do is embodify all those feelings of, you know, really get into that person, really start feeling that energy of, wow, I'm going to go for a swim today. This is going to be amazing. The more that you can actually get those feelings pumping through you, right, the better it's going to be for you, right? What else is really, really important is things like colors, sounds, using all of your 5 senses. And guess what? You guys have been visualizing the wrong stuff. It's almost like when you go to the cinema and you watch a horror film, your body tenses up, you feel scared. That can last for a few hours after the film because your system and your body feels like that you were there. You were actually experiencing what was happening in the horror film. The same thing with a, you know, happy film, etc. You get those feeling of love, you feel that warmness inside you. So it's all about the kind of movie that you're running in your head, right? Which movie do you want to run? Do you want to run the scary horror film, or do you want to run the beautiful, happy, best version of yourself, feel-good film? Okay, so what I want you guys to do is when you feel that horror film is starting to run in your head, right, flip it out, right? Start doing this process of interrupting, okay, breathing into your body, and then starting a full visualization. There's a lot of stuff you can visualize, guys. It can be from your past, it can be from your future. The best things to visualize are just things that you know that you would love to do. But as I said, the more detail, the better. And as I said, over time, what will happen is those patterns that you're ingraining in your brain, they will become the norm, okay? So your subconscious will stop learning from the old patterns and will start to adopt the new patterns. And once it starts adopting those new patterns, your nervous system starts to calm down, right? And you won't feel those thoughts of fear, of anxiety as much. So this is extremely powerful. There's a lot of science to back it up. I would recommend getting some books on this, but if you don't have time, this is a very small practice and it's very easy to do. Just the more you do it, the more you practice it, the easier it will get. And this was very, very fundamental in my healing and just generally kind of quietening all that talk down in my brain. It was amazing.